Hello friends and welcome to my Phase 1 guide on Top Ultimate. In this guide we'll go over all of the mechanics and how they work and then proceed to break them down. Without further delay, let's begin. To begin, we'll pull Omega to the center of the arena and face him north. This will help with upcoming mechanics and orientation. Omega will auto attack the main tank 3 times and then proceed to cast Program Loop. This will apply first, second, third and fourth in line and the Looper debuff pairs to all players. The order in line debuffs are simply for visual clarity on your Looper debuff. Omega will then auto attack the tank 2 more times and then 2 towers will spawn. These towers will always spawn opposite of each other or 90 degrees of each other and must be soaked by the order in line Looper debuffs. First in line for first towers, second in line for second towers, third in line for third towers, and fourth in line for the fourth towers. If a tower is not soaked, it will explode and wipe the raid. Towers deal about 30 to 35k unmitigated to a non-tank, which is important to note as a healer. Also, if you've already taken a tower, you can stand in a tower and dodge the damage. Just make sure to not bait your party with this information. During the first set of towers, Omega will begin to cast Blaster. This will randomly target 2 players with interceptable tethers. Once Omega has finished casting Blaster, the tethers will explode around the tethered player with a massive AoE. For this reason, it's important that these tethers are taken to the 3 spots where there are no towers. A set of tethers will spawn for each set of towers, for a total of 4 sets of tethers. After the initial Blaster cast, Omega will no longer cast Blaster, but tethers will still persist, so it's important to note that only the first set of tethers have an indicator on when they explode, while second, third and fourth won't have a cast bar. Tethers must be taken in a specific order according to your order in line debuffs. Third in line takes first tethers, fourth in line will take the second tethers, first in line will take the third tethers, and second in line will take the fourth tethers. Tether explosions deal around 30 to 35k unmitigated and will give the player a HP down penalty, significantly reducing their HP for 10 seconds. A note that might be relevant to you if you've done 011 Savage is that tethered players do not need to be topped. They just need enough health to be able to survive the hit. This information might save your healers a few GCD heals. The most endangered players are third and fourth in line as they'll take the tether first and then towers. Make sure to pay attention to these players throwing heals on them before they take their towers. Tanks can also help out too by using their target party mitigations like Intervention, Nascent Flash, TBN and Heart of Corundum. Every time you soak a tower or take a tether hit, you'll suffer the debuff Twice Calm Ruin for 10 seconds. If you take another hit from a tower or tether while this debuff is running, you'll be doomed and die. This is why the tower and tether order are important. To coordinate who takes which tower and tether, we have a priority system. To begin, we have everyone take a tower and tether most clockwise, and if you are higher on the priority system, you must take a counterclockwise tether or tower. For tethers, this applies to the most clockwise or counterclockwise tether, and also the most clockwise or counterclockwise safe spot for your tether. My group's priority system looked like this. Ranged are the first on the priority, so they'll always take counterclockwise unless their order in line debuff partner is their fellow ranged, in which case they'll have a priority between each player on who takes clockwise and who takes counterclockwise. Melees are second in line on the priority. This means they'll always go counterclockwise unless their partner is a ranged, in which case they'll go clockwise, or if their fellow melee is their partner, then they'll have a priority system between each other. Tanks are third on the priority. This means they'll always go clockwise unless their partner is a healer, in which case they'll go counterclockwise, or if their fellow tank is their partner yet again, they'll have a priority system between each other. Finally, healers are fourth on the priority, meaning they'll always go clockwise unless their partner is their fellow healer. Just like with any other role, they'll have a priority system between each other on who goes clockwise and who goes counterclockwise. Keep this priority system in mind as it will come in handy for an eminent mechanic. After the towers and tethers have been resolved, Omega will menacingly stare at the main tank, but will not auto-attack. It's important to note the only auto-attacks in this phase are at the beginning, so don't stress healing the tank up right away. Make sure the boss is facing north and then Omega will cast Pantokrator. Yet again, this will give each player a pair of first to fourth in line debuffs, Guided Missile Kairos incoming and Condensed Wave Cannon Kairos on all players. The order in line debuffs are yet again Visual Clarity to help with the Guided Missile Kairos and the Condensed Wave Cannon Kairos timers. Guided Missile Kairos will hit the player with a small AoE that must not hit any other player, or it will send them flying into the wall, and Condensed Wave Cannon Kairos is a 3-player stack which must be soaked between 3 players who are not about to be hit by a guiding missile. Both of these debuffs will apply a short magic vulnerability. At the start of Pantokrator, Omega will split the room in half with 2 90-degree cleaves that progress through the arena in a clockwise or counterclockwise fashion, and then force the party to form 2 light parties on each side. You can split these parties with one party taking northmost and one taking southmost, clockwise and counterclockwise, or base it off the waymarks, whatever works for your group. Our group bases it off the waymarks. Head to the center of your light party's quadrant and wait to see which direction the 90-degree cleaves are rotating in. Once decided, head towards the furthest back cleave, and then every player will bait circle AoEs. Move as a group baiting the circle AoEs and take the stack together. If your guided missile is coming up, make sure to take it away from the group. You can sprint ahead of your group to the furthest forward cleave, just make sure to not bait your puddle in front of your group, or the safest option, take it to the edge of the arena, but make sure to not be in line with your group so the 3-player stack doesn't hit you, as it is a straight line AoE. The reason we have to split into 2 light parties is because we don't want 2 of the same debuff timers in the same party, or mechanical overlap will happen and this will wipe the group. To coordinate who goes to which light party, we should first form 2 default light parties. 1 healer, 1 tank, 1 melee, and 1 ranged. They will use the same priority system as you would with the program loop, towers and tethers, but only adjust to the other light party if someone within your light party has the same order in line debuff. The priority system for our group looks like this. If a ranged DPS has the same debuff as any other player within that light party, they will swap. If a melee DPS has the same debuff as any other player except a ranged DPS, they will swap. If a tank has the same debuff as their party's healer, they will swap, and the healers will never have to swap parties. This mechanic is a fair amount of healing, so good luck healers, but as a non-healer, make sure to help out with any mitigations you have, like reprisals, addles, and feints. After Pantokrator has been resolved, all non-tank players should immediately move into the boss's hitbox, while tanks should max melee the boss and head north. 3 random players within the boss's hitbox will be targeted by a marker, shortly after hitting them with Wave Cannon Kairos, which is a straight line AoE dealing around 30 to 35k unmitigated damage, and applying a 10-second magic vulnerability. Then the 3 remaining players who weren't targeted will now be targeted and get the same AoE. Meanwhile, the tanks will max melee the boss and bait Diffuse Cannon Kairos, a massive cone AoE tank buster that will hit 5 times. Either have both tanks stack north and use invulnerabilities, or spread out with 1 tank going northwest and 1 tank going northeast and popping all their mitigation on the hits. To solve Wave Cannon Kairos, have each targeted player go left, middle, and right, while the non-targeted players will be in between, but make sure not to go too far out or you'll bait the tank buster and wipe the raid. Simply fan out around the south of the boss and check to see who has the markers. If you have a marker and someone to your left and right have the markers, then take this AoE directly south. If you see 2 markers to your left, take your marker right, and vice versa. Shortly after the wave cannon mechanics have been resolved, Omega will cast Atomic Ray. This is his enraging cast, and once finished, this will wipe the raid. To progress through this, you can use your 1-minute cooldowns and DPS LB 1 if you have to, but try not to make a habit of this as you'll need your 1 minutes in phase 2 and LB in later phases. And that concludes my phase 1 guide. Stay tuned for the phase 2 guide, but with this, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy, stay safe, we out, goodbye.